The 9/11 attack and the birth of a narrative. September 11th, 2001, United States. A normal morning. People busy with their daily routines. Coffee shops crowded. People heading to offices. News channels running regular headlines. At 8:46 a.m., a Boeing 767 crashes into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. A massive explosion. Music. Within minutes, thousands are dead. People are terrified, confused, unable to understand what is happening. Just 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., another plane hits the South Tower. Before people can process this, at 9:37 a.m., a third plane crashes into the Pentagon, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense. And at 10:03 a.m., the final plane crashes in a Pennsylvania field. Within 77 minutes, the world's most powerful nation had suffered the deadliest terrorist attack in modern history. Speculation rises. Soon Al-Qaeda claims responsibility. The country is in shock and demands answers. President George Bush immediately holds an emergency meeting with his war council to respond to Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. But someone else in that meeting has a completely different plan. Paul Wolfowitz, U.S. Deputy Secretary of Defense. He sees this crisis as an opportunity to execute another long-desired plan. A plan not about Afghanistan. A plan about Iraq. And more importantly, Iraq's oil. Iraq, where ethnic Kurdish rebels opposed Saddam in the north, where the U.S. already had military bases near Kuwait to the south, and where lay the world's fifth largest oil reserves. Saddam Hussein's growing influence, military strength, and control over Middle Eastern politics were obstructing America's long-term strategic goals. So the U.S. announced to the world, Al-Qaeda and Saddam Hussein are secretly working together. Iraq is developing weapons of mass destruction, WMD. Iraq can create another 9/11. An invasion begins, but how did anyone know Iraq had WMDs? Shockingly, the foundation was a British intelligence report, whose primary source was the 1991 PhD thesis of an Iraqi-American student, Ibrahim al-Marashi. Yes, an old academic thesis was twisted, exaggerated, and presented as cutting-edge intelligence. A narrative was built so carefully that the Iraq invasion appeared necessary for world safety. Millions of Iraqis were killed, their oil fields seized, the country economically destroyed, all justified through a manufactured narrative. Build a narrative. Now you understand how a narrative lifted the U.S. out of global shock and granted it moral license to launch a full-scale war. A narrative is built through 4 steps. Step 1. Trigger emotions: fear, pain, anger, revenge, confusion. These emotions act as fuel. When emotions peak, people stop thinking logically. They become vulnerable to influence. 9/11 created the perfect emotional moment. Step 2. Introduce a villain. Just like every story needs a villain, every narrative needs one too. Iraq and Saddam Hussein were chosen, though the real motive was oil and Middle East control. Step 3. Write the story. Once emotions rise and a villain exists, you craft a story powerful enough that people stop asking for facts. People didn't ask for evidence of WMDs. They were driven by fear. Step 4. Become the hero. After the story comes the savior, the one who will protect the people. In this case, it was the United States. These four steps are still used by leaders across the world. India, 1975. Emergency and censorship. 1970s. One of the darkest periods in Indian history. Inflation at its peak. Unemployment rising. Middle-class households struggling with electricities and ration prices. Corruption everywhere, from peons to chief ministers, students and professionals protesting nationwide. Petrol prices had risen by 300%. Royal families and businessmen turned against the government. Then came 12 June 1975. Allahabad High Court delivered a historic judgment. Justice Jagmohan Lal Sinha invalidated Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's election from Ray Bareli and banned her from contesting elections for 6 years. Why? Because 2 of the 14 allegations against her were proven, using government resources to set up stages for election speeches, taking help from a government officer, Yashpal Kapoor, in election-related tasks. Indira Gandhi appealed to the Supreme Court. On 24 June 1975, SC allowed her to remain PM until the next hearing. She had little time left. On the night of 25 June 1975, she wrote a letter to President Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed. On the morning of 26 June, Indians woke up to news blackout. Opposition leaders like Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Morarji Desai, and L.K. Advani were arrested at midnight. Indira Gandhi announced on radio, "I assure you that this emergency will not affect the rights of law-abiding citizens." The official reason: internal disturbance. Democracy instantly transformed into dictatorship, with just the president's signature. The government now needed one thing to survive: censorship. Midnight raids were conducted on news offices. Power cuts stopped newspapers from printing. Journalists required approval before publishing anything. Some newspapers, like the Indian Express and the Statesman, left editorial pages blank in protest. Those who opposed were jailed. By 1976, over 7,000 journalists had been imprisoned. Over 100,000 citizens were detained, many organizations banned. This is rule number 2, censorship. Rule number 2, censorship, modern tactics. Today, you cannot directly control the entire media. So leaders use 3 tactics. Tactic 1, legal harassment, using sedition laws, defamation cases, anti-terror acts, and slap suits to drain the time, money, and patience of journalists. Tactic 2, economic pressure. Cut government ads, restrict foreign funding, conduct ITED CBI raids, or force hostile takeovers. During the emergency, Indian Express lost all government advertisement revenue. Tactic 3, use fear. Not just physical fear, psychological fear. Threat calls, trolling, intimidation. People begin asking themselves, will I go to jail? Will I get a notice? Will my family be targeted? When truth tellers are silenced, the next rule becomes easier. Hitler, misinformation as a weapon. 1925. In a dark prison room in Landsberg, Germany, a man writes his autobiography. Everything appears normal until a chapter begins. Nation and race. This chapter didn't just decide his future. It shaped the fate of millions. He divided the world into 2 races: superior, inferior. He claimed one race created culture, science, technology, and was destined to rule the world: the Aryans, especially Nordic Germans. The writer was Adolf Hitler, and the book was Mein Kampf. He wanted scientific justification, even if fake, to prove his racial ideas. So he twisted a famous biological theory, social Darwinism, survival of the fittest. Darwin spoke about species. Hitler applied it to humans. He declared Nordic Germans as the fittest, hence destined to rule. But he needed emotional tools too. So he revived ancient Christian myths. Myth 1: Jews killed Jesus. Based on verses from Matthew 27, Hitler revived this narrative to create religious hatred. Myth 2: Stab in the back. A WWI myth claiming Germany lost because politicians betrayed the army. Hitler blamed Jewish socialists and democratic leaders. These myths justified World War II and the genocide that followed. Hitler invaded country after country: Poland, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, Netherlands, France, Yugoslavia, Greece, Albania. He killed over 6 million Jews, all fueled by misinformation. This is rule number 3: spread misinformation. Rule number 3: misinformation. Tools. Only 2 tools exist. Tool 1: use authority. Attach lies to things people trust blindly. Science, religion, scriptures. National heroes, like Hitler, aligned racism with science and religious texts. Tool 2: repeat until it becomes truth. A lie, repeated enough, becomes reality. Hitler used books, speeches, schools, radio, newspapers, posters to repeat the same lies until the nation believed them. Stalin, creating a cult personality, 1924, Soviet Union. People mourn Lenin's death. Next question: who will lead? Lenin's final letter said, "Stalin is too rude. He should be removed." Yet Stalin became the top contender. How? By faking closeness to Lenin. He edited one of the earliest photos of himself with Lenin, the world's first politically manipulated photograph. He made himself appear closer, bigger, and more important. He reproduced 500,000 copies and spread them across the Soviet Union. He then removed other revolutionaries from historical photos. After shaping perception, he changed history. School textbooks, newspapers, films, all rewrote events to glorify Stalin. Movies like Battleship Potemkin, Even the Terrible, and The Fall of Berlin portrayed him as a heroic father figure. People worshipped him. Homes had Stalin rooms. His portraits were treated like divine symbols. This is rule number 4: build a cult personality. Rule number 4: build a cult personality. 5 steps. Step 1: link yourself with a legacy, a respected figure or ideology: religion, national hero, revolution. Step 2: control imagery. Posters, statues, slogans, oversized portraits, everywhere. Step 3: rewrite history. Make yourself the central figure in every national achievement. Step 4: use emotional labels. Add words like Dorashus, great, beloved, father of the nation, genius, until people subconsciously adopt them. Step 5: demand loyalty. Disagreeing with the leader becomes equal to betraying the nation. This is how democracies slowly turn into controlled democracies. Prussian education system. Controlling thought, 1799. Napoleon defeats Russia. One of the world's strongest armies collapses. Why? Because soldiers were thinking for themselves, questioning orders, causing delays. Russia concluded, we need soldiers who do not think, only obey. Thus was born the world's first mass education system, the Prussian education system, designed not to educate, but to create obedient citizens. Its goals: obedience, punctuality, blind nationalism, zero questioning. This became the blueprint for modern schooling worldwide. Leaders realized, if we control what children learn, we control how adults think. And once critical thinking disappears, you get a factory of loyal citizens. This is rule number 5. Control the education system. The final message. Using these 5 rules, any democracy can be turned into a controlled democracy. Build a narrative. Use censorship. Inject misinformation. Create a cult personality. Control education. Once thinking is controlled, everything is controlled. Emotions, beliefs, votes, identity, truth. People don't even realize their minds have been shaped because everything they saw, learned, and thought was systematically designed. Now that you know these 5 rules, observe your surroundings. Do you see carefully built narratives? Is some media being censored? Is suspicious information being spread? Are people labeled traitor for questioning a leader? Are textbooks shaping your thinking in one direction? Now, if a leader tries to control your truth or your thinking, will you fall for it? Or will these rules help you stay aware? Thank you for watching this documentary till the end. I hope you learned something. If you have suggestions, comment below. Support the channel by subscribing and sharing. See you soon in the next documentary. Take care. Bye-bye.